Okay, then. So, time on the show to turn our attention to Matlock Town Football Club in the Northern Premier League Premier Division, as we're delighted to be joined for the first time by Matlock Town star striker Johnny Margetts. Johnny, first of all, how are you today?
Yeah, all good, thank you. All good. Sun shining, better than weather we've had the last few days. So, football back again tomorrow. So, yeah, good. Good day.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, you must be in a great mood right now because as I total it up, it's 9 games and 12 goals for the start of your Matlock Town career. Some are saying that you're the non-league Erling Haaland right now. Just looking at your last game, so you beat Mask United 5-0 in the league, and I think I'm right in saying it wasn't even a full-strength Matlock side for that game as well. And you scored four of those goals, Johnny. Was that one of sort of like the best games you've had in the past few years?
Yeah, I think I've scored four, three times, I think, in my career now. So, you sort of remember all of them. I think they're moments that, again, you look back on and sort of remember fondly. At the time, you're sort of really happy, but I think it's only when you look back you go, yeah, they were good games and really enjoyed them. So, again, it's something that you don't really go into a game expecting to score for, but it just seemed to be, obviously, the chances falling, and with the penalties, it was just one of them games where sort of everything went right and managed to get a bit of a rest in the last 20 minutes as well.
Always good. Yeah, always good. Yeah, it sounded like as well. I mean, obviously not just yourself because it was a fantastic individual performance, but it sounds like in the last couple of games in particular, the whole team has hit a bit of a groove now and everything's really started to gel because you also beat Gainsborough 5-2 before that as well.
Yeah, I think it's always difficult to start of a season when you have so many new signings and there was a big turnover of players in the summer. So again, I think the manager's sort of been trying to find his best team, and we've sort of chopped and changed formation a little bit. So I think we've been a little bit more settled the last few weeks, which has helped. We've had a bit of chance to work on the training ground on a few bits, and again, we've had some good players come into the group. Obviously, the likes of Josh, who's come in the last week or so, who's sort of made a difference. So again, I think we're in a really good place now. I think start of the season there was a few things where we're sort of struggling and things are sort of not right. But again, credit to the manager, he's recognised that and sort of we've not papered over the cracks, we've addressed it, and I think we're sort of bearing the fruits of that now with the results.
Yeah, I don't. It just in terms of yourself, I don't think I've ever interviewed a striker before who's been in is such a rich vein of form as you have been. So, as well as it's 12 goals in 9 games, but in that time you've hit three hat tricks, and of course in the last game you actually got four. What's it like, sort of like when you're in such good form as a centre forward as yourself? Does it feel like whenever you arrive at a game, it just feels like you have the confidence to do anything. It's like whatever you try, it could well go right for you. What's that like?
Yeah, I think it's almost like a golfer when they sort of get a hole in one. You sort of it's a massive thing, then you do it and you feel like you're going to do it every time, which obviously doesn't happen. But I think it's getting the duck off your back of getting once you get one hat trick in the season. I think that sort of it becomes less of a big thing, and it's sort of you're more relaxed in front of goal when the chances come. Listen, I know I'm not going to score a hat trick every game. I think that's a given, but I think if you have the confidence going into games that you can score most games and sort of you can be relaxed when you get chances. I think a lot of strikers, and myself included, when things aren't going well, it's easy to get a little bit snatchy in front of goal and sort of you sort of snatch at chances and panic a little bit in front of goal. So I think that's the big thing when you're playing well and when you're scoring, you just sort of relax and you just seem to finish a lot better when that's the case.
Have you set yourself a target for goals this season? Because I know what Matlock Town as a club have really lacked in the last 5 or 6 years is just an out and out centre forward who can just grab at least 20 goals a season. It's just what's they've been missing, sort of like the final piece of the jigsaw they've missed in the last 2 seasons when they reached the playoffs but couldn't quite win promotion. Have you set yourself a target? 'Cause I mean, you're already on 12. And we've not even finished September yet. So, what's the thinking behind that?
I always want to get. I think for me, the target every season is always want to hit 30 goals in the league. I think I always sort of say if I can get 30 goals in the league, I know the team's going to be right in and amongst it. obviously managed to do that last 2 seasons, and the two before that was on track before COVID. So I know that was a step forward, but I think if I set myself that goal, it gives me something to aim for. And I know if, like I say, if we do that, then it means we're going to have scored a lot of goals as a team. So again, it's from a selfish point of view, scoring goals, but ultimately, the more I'm scoring, the more the team's winning. So listen, if I don't score and we win 2-0, then I'm over the moon. So it's like I say, it's good me scoring, but again, I know it's cliche. It's all about the team, isn't it? So if we're winning, that's ultimately the main thing.
Yeah, and just before we move on to your FA Cup game this weekend, what have you reckoned to the MPL Premier Division so far? It's an interesting table because we've actually already got runaway leaders after only 7 games. Radcliffe have won every single game. They've scored on average 4 goals a match, and they're 7 points clear. But then after that, it's really, really packed. And at the moment, Matlock are 10th, but they're only 2 points off playoffs. It feels like it's going to be a very, very tight season, but how confident are you that Matlock can finish in the top 5 at the end of it?
Yeah, I think it's such a competitive league this year. I think if you look at the teams in there, your Radcliffes, your Macclesfields, Worksops, Bamber Bridge, I think there's some really good sides this year, and it's probably as strong as I've ever seen it this league. So I think Radcliffe were my picks to win it at the start of the year. I think that they've got 2 brilliant managers in charge, and they've got a real good squad, some lads who I've played with before. So I've no doubt that they'll be, if you're above them, you'll win the league basically. But again, they'll have times where they struggle, and it won't just be, I know they've had a good start, but they'll have a dip in form and teams will catch up. So it's never as simple as it seems at times. But I think from a Matlock perspective, I think if we're in amongst it at the end of the season, whether that's obviously competing for playoffs, competing for promotion, then I think that'll be a great season. I don't see any reason why we can't be competing for a playoff spot at the end of the season. I think with the players we've got and the quality we've got, I think that's down to us really. We just need to work hard every week, and for me, there's no reason why it can't be a good season.
Yeah, great stuff. And just finally, then moving on to the FA Cups, it's a bit of a changing competition for Matlock Town this coming weekend. So you're away against Stourbridge. You're in a different division regionally, but at the same level as Matlock Town, and it's away from home, so it'll be a tough trip. But how good would it be for Matlock Town as a club if they were to, get past this hurdle and then get past a couple more to reach the first round proper? I had a quick check with the FA Cup fact file on Twitter, and they told me it's 1989 was the last time Matlock was in the first round proper of the FA Cup. If you were able to do it this time around, I know it's still, you're a little while off at the moment, but how good would that be for the club? Because attendances have really been on the rise since the COVID pandemic. That would surely only raise the profile of the club even more.
Oh, for sure. I think the FA Cup's sort of great for 2 things. It's great experience for the players, and obviously make some great memories in it. But I think financially for the clubs and sort of sustainability of the clubs, it's massive. I mean, you look at teams like Marine and things like that who've had good cup runs, it sets you up for the next 10 years if you do it properly. You can improve the facilities and all that sort of thing. So we're under no illusions of how important the cup is. But at the same time, we're not daft to know we're still miles away from the first round. We've won 1 game, so we've got another 2 games that we need to win. We'll have a tough game this weekend. I know Stourbridge are a good side. They've got some really good players, and they're doing well in their league. So I think we just got to not look too far ahead and take it game by game. I'm sure there's plenty of teams who've dreamed of being in the first round proper who are already out. So again, we just sort of go into Saturday, no fear, playing how we play, and like I say, hopefully we can get the result.
Well, I'm pretty certain it was yourself that scored a hat trick again, a hat trick for Belper Town at Matlock Town, I think a couple of years ago in the first qualifying round of the FA Cup. So if you keep carrying on doing that, Johnny, then Matlock are in very fine shape. So thanks for your time. It's been absolutely great to have you on the show, and hopefully we'll speak to you again a bit later on the season, and hopefully that'll be when Matlock are in that top 5 as well. So thanks for your time, mate.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.